Good evening, everyone. All right. So this is our Alpha TV December 19 episode. And again, welcome to another episode of a session that aims to make you hashtag significantly better. My name is Felix Viroya. I'm the founder and CEO of Aztec Speech Academy, and I'll be your host, moderator for tonight. So we still have a lot of seats, virtual seats that are available here. So if you still have friends and colleagues that would want to learn tonight on a day, couple of days before the Yuletide season or Yuletide um um celebration. So please do share this session with them. Okay. Or but before that, let's of course thank our partners. We do have I Excel Online CIE Review, Startup Podcast PH, Tuos, the first Filipino cloud-based analytics platform, and we have Kapihan with Sir Lex. So please check it out on Spotify. All right. So without further ado, this is actually being recorded and will be made available in our Alpha digital platform. And we are honored to have our resource speaker for this Alpha TV episode. Our speaker is a lead community builder, content creator, host, and community manager. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and has experience as a data analyst, customer service, tester, community builder, content creator, and host. She is part of the Stellar PH 100 2025 and is a BitGet builder, Coins Champ February MVP, Base PH contributor spotlight for a couple of months, and lead community ambassador for Core PH. She has also been involved in speakership for community building. Currently, she is a lead community builder and a member of Stellar PH 100 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow lifelong learners, please help me welcome our resource speaker for our Alpha TV December 19, 2025 episode for Community Building and Blockchain 101, none other than Miss Risel M. Saure. Ma'am, I'm gonna be passing the virtual floor to you and I'll be back sa ating Q&A po. Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much, Sir Felix. Please wait while I settle my PowerPoint presentation as well. Thank you, everyone. So, I just wanted to ask if you can see my share screen po, everyone.
Yes po, pero hindi pa po siya naka-presenter view or naka-present view po.
Okay po. Wait lang po.
Ay, sorry. Are you speaking already po, Miss Rizel?
Di pa. Ayan po. Bali naka-presentation form na po siya.
Yes po. We can
Alright.
see it now. Thank you.
Alright. Thank you so much. So yeah, good evening everyone. Or in the Web3, we call it GM. Good morning. So, yep, my name is Roselem Saure, but my Web3 name is Ri. So it's a short for describing myself as a responsible, interesting, and enthusiastic person. So I am also passionate into a lot of things such as tech, gaming, fitness, art, and Web3. And what I'm focusing right now will be in Web3 because of currently being the lead community ambassador for Core, CoinsChamp, and contributor for Base. And also, the new one will be being a community manager for Cryptita Place. And I'm supporting a lot of Web3 Philippine communities such as the Cryptita Place, we have the Web3 Forward, the Build Minds, Web3 Rizal, and so on. So I'm bullish to any individual or communities or projects that has been on the Web3 Philippines. So the topic that I will be discussing or will be relaying today will be beyond Web3, we apply community management strategies across industries. So why do I focus into different industry? Kasi for sure, hindi lang naman yung mga audience natin for this session will not just only focusing on Web3 as well with other industries such as finance, business, and so on. So yep, let's move it the next phase or with the next slide. So yep, an opening for this one. And why does Web3 or community management is important? Because, imagine that you're part of a gaming group, a student organization, or even a community online. And what keeps people engaged? What makes them stay and participate? That's community management in action. And it's not just about Web3 or tech. Because for me, community management is about bringing people together, keeping them engaged, and making sure they feel valued. While Web3 communities are big on decentralization and collaboration, and also in communities, the same strategies can be applied to the sectors. As you can see, we have part 1, 2, and 3. For one, we have the businesses. We have brands use communities to build loyalties. Think of it, an example is the Apple fans or the gaming forums that we have. For the education, we have schools creating online learning communities to help students collaborate more. And then the third will be the social media. Because influencers and content creators build strong fan bases through engagement. And then, as you can see, so those are the things why it's important, followed by how does the skills developed in Web3 communities can be applied across different sectors. So the core skills of a Web3 community manager or into community management will be the following. First will be communication and engagement. And then building trust and reputation, problem solving and critical thinking, collaboration and community building, and lastly will be self-motivation and initiative. For me, it's communication, trust building, and you value the word leadership everywhere. Whether you're handling a Discord server, leading a school organization, or managing customer support for a tech company. Understanding how to manage and grow a community will always be useful. So a good question for this, for everyone, not just for me, is how the skills developed in Web3 communities can be applied across different sectors. So let me give you my experience that you can apply these Web3 skills in the sectors given on the PowerPoint presentation. For the community engagement, in Web3, we interact in Discord, Telegram, and X, helping people understand more about the chains, communities, and projects. For the other industries, it can apply into customer service, marketing, sales, and public relations. For building trust and reputation, Web3 runs on transparency. You learn to build credibility by sharing insights and contributing. Other industries, it can apply into business leadership, finance, consulting, and brand management. The third would be problem solving and critical thinking. In Web3, it changes fast. You learn to adapt. We analyze trends and then we find solutions. In other industries, I think it can be applied into tech startups for the cybersecurity, also with the project management and data analysis. For the fourth, we have the collaboration and community building, such as this one, community management. Because organizing events, we also do moderating chats and managing communities that help you lead teams. For the other industries, it also apply with the human resource, event plannings, and corporate trainings and education. For the fifth, we have self-motivation and initiatives. Because Web3 is decentralized, no one tells you what to do. So you learn to take charge and find opportunities. And I can see it on the other industries that it applies also with the freelancing, entrepreneurships, and leadership roles. So as you can see, community management doesn't just offers in Web3 or blockchain. It can be also offers with the different sectors such as, the freelancing, entrepreneurship, human resource, tech startup, project management, and a lot more. So let's move with the next phase. So yeah, a thought-provoking questions will be, have you ever been part of a community, whether it is an online or offline, that you felt an impact? As for me, I don't know if it's just for me or for everyone. I believe I am since I was young. So let me tell you a short story of mine being part of this community since I was young. So this is not again for bragging, but to give insights on my experience on with the communities I belong to. Kasi naalala ko, nung elementary ako, may mga part na ako ng mga communities, no? Like clubs. Hindi ko sure kung ako lang to, pati kayo nung bata kayo. So, yung elementary ako, part na ako ng art club, tsaka reading club. And then, from elementary, naging part ulit ako ng another communities in high school. So, from art club, naging art club pa rin. Tapos, yung reading club, naging book lovers club. Tapos, nadagdagan pa siya, which is Mother Science Club. So, that's from elementary to high school. Tapos, yung college, hindi na uso yung clubs ng college, organization. So, I'm handling peer facilitator club. Then, yung org namin sa school, which is yung ACSS, or Association of Computer Science and Technologies. So, from elementary to high school to college, na-move naman siya into, different, after ko gumraduate ng college, sumali ako ng mga gaming communities. So, yun, from, parang, parang organization, community din siya. So, from school, from educational communities, naging gaming communities. Then, after ko gumraduate, so, naghanap ng work. So, parang, from gaming communities, nag-move naman siya from tech communities. So, I've joined Filipino Web Development Peers. If you're part of it, good. If you're not part of it, you can still search it on the social media platforms. You can join. It's available for everyone. So, what we did in Filipino Web Development Peers is more of, educating everyone into different fields of tech, such as we have web development, since yun yung pinaka-focus. We also have UI UX. We also have Web3 blockchain, just like me. We also have cybersecurity. We also have, if I'm not mistaken, meron din, mga QA or quality testers. Naging part din ako. So, we have a lot. Then, after tech communities, I'm now involved with the Web3 communities that I'm explaining right now. So, ayun. So, parang, since bata pa lang ako, naging part na ako ng different communities. Although, hindi naman lahat nag-lead ako. Pero parang, yun yung naging foundation ko for me to explain these things on my end for you guys. And yun yung mga nakita kong experiences na pagdaanan ko from them. Which is, nung naalala ko siya, na ay matagal na pala part naging ng mga communities. So, since bata pa lang, since elementary pa lang, up until now. So, ayun. Kaya, siguro, nadala ko siya hanggang ngayon, which is, doing community management for the Web3 as well. So, yeah, let's move it. So, yun lang, explain ko lang kung paano may build up yung mga experiences ko or ideas ko regarding about this topic. Kasi since I think matagal na akong evolve within the community section from educational communities into gaming communities, tech communities, and now into Web3 communities. So, let's move it the next phase. Siguro kayo din, no? Maybe you can, drop things regarding about your communities that you've been involved. Actually, naging involved pa ako sa church communities, naging choir member din ako. So, yun. So, marami tayong communities. Marami iba't iba. Hindi lang siya about tech. It can also siguro yung mga nag-gym dyan, di ba? We have gym communities, mga, mga book lovers. Alam ko may mga book clubs pa rin naman right now. Or, meron pa nga nauso ngayon yung fitness communities, yung mahilig tumakbo, ganun. Mga running clubs. So, definitely, maraming communities tayo involved. So, yeah, this one, no? So, what makes Web3 community management unique and what does, it is offer within other sectors as well. So, the first one, decentralization and ownerships. So, for me, users are often stakeholders, not just me but everyone. Kasi in Web3, the power is spread out. So unlike social media platforms where companies control everything, Web3 communities let users have their say. An example of it is if you join a DAO or decentralized autonomous organization in Web3, you might own tokens that let you do on the decisions like where to invest or what features to build. It's like being a shareholder, no, in a company, but in a very community-driven way. The second will be trust and transparency. That's what we always hear about Web3, no, decentralized transparency. And for this one, blockchain and smart contracts play a role. So what does this mean, no? Kasi everything is open and recorded on the blockchain. So there are no hidden rules and everyone can see how things work. So an example of it is when you buy something from a Web3, the transaction is recorded publicly. So no one can cheat or alter your records. And for me, it's like having a public receipt that can be erased. Third will be incentivization. Because in Web3, we have tokens, you have coins, as you can see. We have NFTs and airdrops driving engagements. For that, members of Web3 communities like me and to anyone get rewards for participating. Instead of just likes and the shares, people can earn real value through tokens or other digital assets that we have. A good example of this incentivization is having a Web3 gaming community might reward its players with tokens for contributing ideas or inviting new users. So these tokens can sometimes be converted into real money or used within the ecosystem. And last but not the least would be always on engagements. Because as I've mentioned earlier, Web3 peeps are active in different social media platforms such as Telegram, Discord, X or formerly Twitter, Spaces. We have real-time discussions as well. For us, we don't work like traditional companies with office hours. Web3, we are active 24/7 with people chatting, we collaborate, and we discuss ideas in real time. So inclusion with this, the Web3 communities, we are not just online groups. We are dynamic, we are user-powered ecosystem where people own, build, and shape the future together. So this concept can also be applied with other industries. I think what I'm seeing for this is like a tech startup for education, and I'm seeing this features as well with other traditional businesses. And with that, let's move with the third phase, which is applying these Web3 community strategies to the other industries. So we have five parts for tech and SaaS. SaaS is software service companies. With open source and customer communities, we improve, adoption and retention, because in blockchain, communities help improve projects, by giving feedbacks and even contributing to development, as what we can see with tech companies can do the same. A good example of this will be thinking about Google Docs or Figma. If user shares their feedback and suggests new features, the company improves faster. So, a good example of it is open source software like Linux also thrives because developers worldwide contribute and help each other. So that's what we're doing as well within the Web3 space. The second will be, traditional brands and retails. Because this traditional brands and retails have their loyalty programs that can be gamified using Web3 inspired strategies. You have Web3 tokens and rewards to keep users engaged within, these brands and retails. That can also be done with the gamified loyalty programs. A good example of this will be thinking of Starbucks rewards or Shopee coins. And you can redeem rewards later. For the blockchain space, we take this further with NFTs and tokens. But the core idea of rewarding engagement applies to any business. There will be gaming. Gaming is also part of other industries besides Web3. So, community-driven, esports, or UGC, or user-generated content also parallels with Web3. So, gamers love contributing, whether it's esports, tournaments, or even creating contents. For Web3s, where communities own and govern projects, it works also in similar way. A good example for this is Minecraft and Skyrim allows players to create and share, improving the game experience. In esports, we have team and tournaments are often community-driven, just like the DAOs or DAOs in Web3. Also, every members can vote or have its, decisions on providing which one should be accepted or not accepted within those communities. The fourth will be finance and fintech. So you have community education like DeFi tutorials that build trust. For Web3 finance or DeFi, it is a complex. So communities educate newcomers, like fintech companies can use the same approach to build trust and engagement. Because I believe some banks and fintech apps now offer community learning hubs where users just like, teach each other about investing and saving. We also do that in Web3. Like the DeFi communities educate people about, blockchain and how we stake. And maybe the last but not the least will be the nonprofits and social impact. We have crowdfunding and governance models that inspired by DAOs. So what does this mean? We have Web3 makes it fundraising more transparent through DAOs, or nonprofits can use similar models for crowdfunding and decision making. So what will be a good example for this Atri? So platforms like GoFundMe and Kickstarter, it allow people to fund projects. And for Web3 blockchain, we go further by letting contributors, vote or give on how the funds are being raised or used. So this could work for charities, disaster relief, or other community-driven initiatives. So before we move to part 3, let me check on the chat box. So if you have questions while I'm discussing, you can drop it on the chat box for everyone. Or if you think I'm fast and I'm very fast on, discussing things, you can inform me at 3, can you just go slower so that we will be able to catch up, no? So yeah, let's move it the phase 4. So definitely there are challenges in in handling community management, not just only in Web3 but also with other sectors. As I can see it also with other communities I've been part with. So I wanted to provide a short, samples of the challenges that we are having within the communities that we've been part with. And these are some things for me on how to provide solutions or how to overcome it. So the first one will be scaling engagement. What is scaling engagement? For me is how do you keep the momentum alive with your communities? Because many communities start strong. We know that. But we lose energy over time. Like sa umpisa lang malakas, tas sa palagitnaan nawawala na yung mga tao, nawawala na yung community. So how do you keep everyone engaged for a long term? So these are my solutions naman. So we have first one, consistent content updates because because if we keep members excited with fresh contents or events and discussions, definitely they will stay. Another will be recognizing the contributions of the individuals because if we highlight active members and make them feel valued, such as providing leaderboards, shoutouts, or even giving them small tokens of appreciations or badges, definitely it's a good thing to scale those engagements. And lastly will be interactive experiences for everyone in your communities, like hosting AMAs, we have live sessions just like this, or even competitions, or even offline meetups that will be at Kotse. The second will be retention versus hype, like moving from speculations to the real engagement. Because the challenge of this is some communities grow fast because of the hype. But once the excitement fades, people leave. Like, how do you build, a real engaged communities? I have these three, solutions or things that I think that can overcome this kind of scenario that we will be experiencing for the, communities we've been handling or we've been part with. The first will be focus on long-term value. I think that's the very best solution that we can provide, and that's the very best thing that the members would love to see, because instead of just the hype, the pump and dump moments for the web3, we should build meaningful discussion and connections. The other will be offering real benefits beyond those speculations. Because if people stay just for rewards, they leave once it stops. So instead, give them reasons to stay, such as this one for the alpha community learnings. We also have networking, so you can, engage with those individuals on those live sessions like this. We also have networking, and one good thing for our community is providing, exclusive contents just like this. So this thing that we're having with the alpha community is a good thing to provide more retention and providing long-term value for our community members. And last but not the least, we encourage real conversations. No, don't just post announcements. Get those people into talk, because a good project provides or teaches, it builds, and it supports its members while keeping them engaged. So other challenges will be on the next phase. Yep, so this one. So we have manage conflict in communities. So these are the lessons with with how we moderate with the communities that we have. So the first will be, because for this conflict in communities, definitely there are disagreements, there are trolls, there are conflicts within how we handle our communities. And how do you keep things under control, without killing the engagement? So first is will be setting clear community rules. We have guidelines for behavior and we stick to them. Second will be encourage respectful discussions. Because I believe differences or opinions are fine, but personal attacks are not. Then use moderators and trusted members. So this is a good thing for an online moderators, since you're providing individuals to moderate the communities. So we appoint community leaders to help keep things fair. So the last but not the least was have a conflict resolution step. So for me, instead you just ban people immediately. Definitely it's good if we talk things out. Then another one is bridging Web 2 and Web 3 users. Because definitely a lot of the individuals here on this session is more of Web 2 individuals. And with that, we can, wanted to bridge things out for Web 2 and Web 3. Because definitely you guys doesn't know what is Web 3, what is blockchain. And we're definitely gonna tackle a blockchain one-on-one later after this one. So definitely it's not everyone understands Web3 as I can say. And if there are communities that are too technical and it can scare away Web2 individuals or even beginners. So how do you make it easier for those individuals to join? So definitely we simplify the language. So I think this is not just by Web3 communities but also by tech communities as well. We avoid jargons like we have gas fees, we have staking in Web3 without explaining them. Second will be we provide step-by-step guide. You provide the newcomers in simple way. Like you explain things in a very simplest way that everyone can easily digest. You provide videos, you provide tutorials, or even sometimes infographics. And for us in Web3, we offer Web2 friendly login options because as you can see, there are different wallets. We know they're cold and hot wallet in Web3. But right now, we provide, Web2 friendly login options. Actually, ano yung mga Web2 login options? Most of it are sign-ups through your email. Hindi nyo na kailangan mag-connect pa ng iba't ibang wallet. But just use your email, magda-direct na kayo with that applications that we have. And last but not the least, we show real-world benefits. Instead of talking about decentralization, transparency, we explain how it helps them, such as, having its ownership, having better rewards. And with that, successful communities don't just launch and hope for the best. No? They actively keep members engaged. We create real value. We manage conflicts, no? And making it easier for new users to join. So these strategies work not just for Web3, but for any industry looking to build strong and lasting communities. And with that, we're part of the closing of the community management discussions. So my call to actions. The final takeaways pala muna. Sorry for that. So, for our final takeaways for this one is Web3 strategies are not just for crypto, no? That they can also be redefined with engagement in any industry. So the way Web3 communities engage people through rewards, transparency, and even community-driven decision-making can be used in many industries, not just in blockchain and crypto. Like businesses, schools, and even local organizations can use Web3-style engagement strategies like loyalty programs I've mentioned earlier, interactive events, and gamification, to keep people involved. Another one is the future of community-led brands is growing. We adopt Web3 inspired engagement models even in Web2 spaces. Because more companies are shifting from a top-down approach or the one-way communication into a community-driven model, which is the two-way interaction, where customers, users, and individuals have a voice in shaping brands. And then lastly will be creative in applying incentive models, beyond just tokens or coins. So, in Web3, we often use tokens, coins, or NFTs as rewards, but there are many other ways to motivate and engage people. So instead of just giving tokens, companies can offer exclusive experiences, recognitions, discount, digital badges, or access to special contents, just like this that we have in the alpha community. Even in Web 2, brands can use gamified reward systems to build engagement. Then, the list one is for this. So, if you are students, young professionals, for businesses and brands, and for Web3 enthusiasts, this is a call to action for you. So, for students and young professionals, for me, you start applying these strategies in your own projects, in your own events, organizations, or communities. Think of ways to make your organizations more engaging, rewarding, and interactive. And then for businesses and brands, we experiment with Web3 inspired models to strengthen customer loyalty and increase engagement. We try community voting, we provide exclusive perks for our customers or clients, or gamified rewards. And last but not the least is for Web3 enthusiasts. We help bridge the gap by making Web3 easier to understand for people outside the space. Because we share knowledge, we simplify complex ideas and create onboarding experiences that welcome newcomers. So my final thoughts for this topic is community is the future of engagement, whether you're in Web 3 and Web 2 and or anywhere in between. So the key to lasting success is building relationship, rewarding participation, and definitely keeping people engaged. And if you wanted to continue more of our conversations regarding about this community management or even Web3 communities like I belong to, like Sir Felix have mentioned earlier, or you just wanted to explore the Web3 space, you can connect with me with any of my social media platforms as well. So before we move with the next topic, or the blockchain one-on-one, or understanding the blockchain basics. So I'm gonna check on the chat box if you have questions, guys, regarding about it.
Thank you, Miss Sauer, for the first part. I believe we're
Yes
gonna
po.
do a consolidated Q&A if that's okay with you. But I have prompted them to take note of their questions if there are any for the community building part.
So, alright. Okay, okay po. Sir Felix, can we proceed with the other one po, or we're gonna answer questions po for the community
Yeah,
management?
we can proceed with the next one, and then we're gonna do the consolidated Q&A after this next topic.
Okay po, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Alright, and with that, we'll be followed by the next topic, which is, the blockchain 101. Or understanding more about the blockchain. So, yep. So, as you can see, there's a lot of things that is happening within the blockchain right now. So, mostly in the Philippines is the Cadena Bill from Sir... I forgot the name of the senators. But we having, the Cadena Bill or the blockchain bill for the government in the Philippines. So, let's get, a basic intro about what is blockchain for you guys to be able to know what is blockchain that is currently happening or revolving here with the government in the Philippines. And also it happens with the different communities that we also have. So again, introduction to blockchain. So what blockchain is, for a simple definition, the problem it solves, such as the lack of trust and central controls. And why do you think blockchain matters today? For me, blockchain is just a shared digital record systems. It stores information in a way that is very secure, transparent, and it's difficult to change. Instead of one central owner, Many participants share and can verify their data. And also, blockchain is a digital ledger that everyone can trust even if they don't trust each other. So what does it solves? Or what does blockchain solves? For traditional systems, it relies only on central authorities. Banks manage money, companies manage data, and governments manage records. So problem with central control is that it's a single point of failure. Data can be altered or hidden. It requires trust in one's authority. It can be slow, expensive, or opaque. So the trust problem here is many systems ask us to trust the middleman for the central authority. But what if the system is hacked, records are manipulated, and the authority fails? So trust becomes a risk. That's why blockchain was created to reduce the need of blind trust. So how does blockchain address those problems? We have no single owner or control. That's why it is decentralized rather than centralized. The data is verified by many participants, as what I've mentioned earlier, and the records are permanent and traceable, and everyone sees the same version of the truth. And the result of this is that less reliance on intermediaries. Again, in blockchain, we are more transparent and more trust built into the system. So why does it matters today? Because we live already in a digital world. Data is valuable and constantly exchanged. Digital trust is harder to guarantee, and then cyber threats and data misuse are definitely increasing. That's why blockchains offers a new way to trust those digital information that we have. So let's move with the next one. So this is the first one, the introduction to blockchain. The second would be, traditional systems versus blockchain. We have centralized system, bank servers, authorities. We also have these issues such as trust of single point of failure. We also have these slow processes. And definitely the last is how blockchain is different. We have distributed and trustless. So we first need to understand traditional system before the blockchain. So traditional system or centralized systems is controlled by a single authority. So what are the common examples of it? We have banks managing money. We have companies storing user data on servers. We have governments keeping official records. So it seems like one organization decides what will be valid. So how those centralized system works? So we have users send requests to those central authority. And the authority verifies the information, they approve or deny actions, they store the official records. So an example of it is when you send the money, the bank will check, and that will be, the notifications whether they approve or denies the transactions. So the strength of the traditional system or the centralized system is their clear responsibility and control. They're easier to manage and regulate. They're familiar and widely used by everyone. However, these systems comes with a trade-off. So the issues of these centralized systems, we have trust dependency because users most trust the central authority, and it has this limited visibility into internal processes. Decisions may not be transparent. We also see the single point of failure. Why? Because if the central system fails, definitely services go offline, data can be lost or compromised, and this data can be vulnerable to cyber attacks. We have the system outage and the internal misuse. And with that, we provide this blockchain system. So how does blockchain is different with decentralized or traditional systems that we have? Again, we have no central authority. That's why it's decentralized. Data is shared across many computers. We have nodes or NODES nodes. We have everyone seems to have the same records, and decisions were made collectively, not just by one person. So what is this distributed system? Distributed system can be explained that each participants have a copy of the data. Updates require agreement from the network, and again, if one computer fails, other continue. The result of this is much more higher reliability and a greater resilience. Again, trustless does not mean no trust. So, this is a part of trustless already. So, blockchain is trustless by design. You don't need to trust a person or an institution for this, because you trust mathematics, cryptography, and network rules. Trust is built into the system itself. So with this traditional system versus blockchain, traditional systems rely only on authority-based trust, while blockchain uses technology-based trust. So this shift changes how we manage the data, the money, and the digital interactions that we have. So those are the difference of the traditional systems that we have versus the blockchain. The next will be, the basic blockchain components for you guys to have an idea what are blocks or the data containers, what are the transactions that we commonly have in the blockchain, the chains, and definitely what I've mentioned earlier, which is the nodes or computers in the network. So these are the blockchain components, and it is made up of simple building blocks. So each component that I've mentioned has a clear role. Together, they create a much more secure and trustworthy system. So again, definitely it should be transactions first, because transactions are the starting point. Transaction is a record of an action. Example of transactions in Web3 are sending money, recording ownership, or updating information. Again, every blockchain entry begins in transaction. So how does transaction works? If a user creates a transaction, the transaction is shared within the network. The network checks if it's valid, and only valid transactions are accepted. Second will be blocks or data containers. Again, from transactions into blocks or data containers. What will be a block? A block will be a digital container. What does it hold? It holds multiple transactions, a timestamp, and a reference to the previous block. Think of a block as a page in a ledger. Why it is important? It groups many transactions together. It makes data easier to verify and store. Again, once a block is added, it will be permanent and cannot be easily changed. It also block protects the integrity of the data. From transaction to blocks, it will move into the chain. It is the one that is linking everything together. So actually, what is chain? It is a blocks that are linked in a specified or specific order, and each block references the one before it. It creates a continuous chain of history. Again, changing one block would affect all others. It is important because chain or linked blocks ensures the data consistency. It prevents tampering. It creates a clear, traceable timeline. Again, this the idea of the chain, it is making the blockchain more trustworthy. And last but not the least is the nodes or the computer or the network computers. Nodes are computers connected to the blockchain. Each node stores a copy of the blockchain. It verifies transactions. It helps maintain the network. So no single computer controls the system, and definitely many nodes working together. It improves security, increases reliability, and prevents system failure. So the more nodes that we have, the stronger the networks. So the conclusion of this is that a transaction is created, transactions are grouped into blocks, the block is linked to previous blocks, So nodes verify and store the updated blockchain, and everything works as one system. So if someone asks you how this blockchain works, so this is definitely the components of the blockchain. Again, transaction, and then into blocks or data containers, and then from blocks into previous blocks into nodes. And then from these components, let's move on how does this, blockchain works in in a very easy and digestive, way for you guys to understand. As you can see, we have transaction creation, we have verification by network participants, we have block creation and linking, and lastly will be the permanent storage on the ledger. Because blockchain is just more than a concept, it's a process for Web3. And understanding how it works helps explain why does it's much more secure, transparent, and trustworthy that is really applying on the government that we have. So we have transaction creation. It is gonna be the starting point. So example of it will be sending money, recording ownerships, logging information or agreements. So the user initiate the transaction with a digital signature. So this proves authenticity. So every blockchain records begins again with transaction, followed by verification by the network. So transactions are broadcast to all the nodes in the network, and the nodes check if the transactions are valid, that the sender has the right to perform it, and again, verified transactions are approved and accepted. Then, followed by block creation and linking. So verified transactions are grouped into blocks, and each blocks again, as I mentioned earlier, are multiple transactions, a timestamps, and a reference to the previous block. So the block is linked to the chain, forming a continuous record. So as you can see, the blockchain grows chronologically. It has a system, as you can see. That's why a lot of individuals are into blockchain as well. Because every block is connected to the previous one. Then the last but not the least will be the permanent storage on the ledger. So once a block is added, it is stored permanently across all the nodes and cannot be easily altered, and every node has a copy of the ledger. This creates the transparency for individuals, the security, and accountability. As you can see, blockchain is distributed. It also is a tamper resistant of a ledger. So we already learned about, how those blockchain works. We'll be moving about the the characteristics of a blockchain. And why it is, it's always sold as decentralized and transparent. So here are the other characteristic of blockchain as well. So other people doesn't know security or cryptography. Also the immutability and consensus, because a lot of individuals right now they say blockchain is decentralized or transparent, but they doesn't know the other characteristic of it as well, such as security and immutability. So why does it mean decentralized? Again, no single authority controls the system. Data is stored across many computers. As I've mentioned earlier, the nodes or the computer networks, everyone in the network participates in its verification. What would be the importance of decentralized authority? It reduces the risk of failure or corruption. It increases the reliability. It empowers users rather than a central organization. The second will be transparency. Why does it shows transparency? Because all participants can view transactions or records. Everyone sees the same version of the truth, and it isn't easily to be altered. And the importance of it is because it promotes trust and accountability of each person, because everyone can have a view of it. It is much more easier to audit and verify records, and for me it reduces fraud or hidden activities. The third will be security. So how does it mean to be secured in that, in the blockchain? Because blockchain uses advanced math and encryptions, and every transaction is digitally signed, protects against everyone from tampering, hacking, or impersonation. And again, why it's secured? Because it has a system where only valid participants can make those transactions, and unauthorized changes are very extremely difficult to manage. Then fourth will be immutability. Why? Because once a block is added to the blockchain, it cannot be easily changed. And every block, what I've mentioned, again, is linked to the previous block. It really ensures that it is much more permanent, it's verifiable record, it builds a long-term trust for those data. And siguro, you'll ask what is consensus, no? In this one, consensus for you to be easily get it, it's much more of agreement. Because this one, the network participants must agree on what will be a valid. And it is achieved in using different mechanisms, so like proof of work, proof of stake, and ensures everyone sees the same truth. Because consensus prevents fraud, it maintains integrity across a distributed network of those nodes. Again, no single party can manipulate those records. And with these features of the blockchain, I can sense that it's more than just a technology. Again, it's a system built for trust. It's a unique characteristic address problems in traditional systems, and we understand that these features help us to see why blockchain is, commonly in the ground today, that, you know, has been applied for our government here in the Philippines, why it has been not only used in the Philippines but globally, and why it's quite, getting more of a trend, not just into hype. And last but not the least, our key takeaways for this topic for the blockchain 101 is that blockchain is a trust technology. Cryptocurrency is not equal to blockchain. It is still evolving, but currently having impactful. And last but not the least, understanding the basics prepare us to learn more for the deeper topics. Why? Because for blockchain is a trust technology, it's designed to build us a trust in digitally. As what we've mentioned earlier, we have key features such as decentralization and transparency added by security, immutability, and consensus. Therefore, you can trust the data and transactions without relying on those intermediaries, middlemen, and trust is already built into the system itself. Why do I say cryptocurrency is not equal to blockchain? Because blockchain is a technology, guys. But cryptocurrency is just an application of the blockchain. So a good analogy of it is that blockchain is the internet, but cryptocurrency is the email or the online banking for the internet. Therefore, understanding blockchain goes beyond just learning about Bitcoin or Ethereum. Blockchain has many real world use cases such as finance, healthcare, identities, and more. The third will be still evolving but impactful. How come? Because blockchain is rapidly growing already, as you can see, and changing its new solutions, and applications really emerge regularly. And industries now are currently experimenting with the blockchain. As what you have mentioned in the news, JP Morgan is already applying itself with the blockchain as well. So those are just a sample news that we currently already have within the modern days. Also, I'm seeing, the efficiency for this, the security and transparency. Then I think the last but not the least will be understanding the basics, such what I've mentioned earlier. Definitely prepares you to, to grasp more of the core concepts. And this one helps you to understand what is blockchain, how to elevate those blockchain solutions, avoiding the misconceptions about, the cryptocurrency and blockchain. And for me, foundation knowledge make it really easier to understand more of it for you guys to dive into the next one. So sample of the deeper topics that we have for blockchain is the smart contracts, the decentralized finance, the enterprise blockchain solutions, and so on. So, a closing thought for me for this topic, for the blockchain 101 or understanding the blockchain basic, is that, blockchain, guys, is more than just a technology. For me, it represents a fundamental shift on how we establish the trust from from the traditional one right now into the digital world. So unlike the traditional systems, we only rely on people or centralized institution to verify, maintain records. But for blockchain, it builds already trust directly within the system. Transactions are much more secure, records are transparent, and data is immutable. So making verifications automatic and really accessible by everyone. So again, learning blockchain is not just about understanding its technology. It's about learning how to trust the data, not just the people. A skill that is increasingly vital for the digital age. So for the businesses, it means security, transparency, and trust are no longer optional. They are already embedded with the design, enabling new opportunities, transforming those different industries or sectors, and creating a much more fair, accountable digital future for each and every one of us. So this is Rhea again, and thank you for listening for the two topics I've discussed regarding about community management and blockchain 101. So yeah, thank you for everyone who listened from me from the beginning up until the end. I appreciate and acknowledge your time and presence on joining me on this discussion. So giving the mic again to Sir Felix. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Ree, for that thought-provoking questions and the introduction of, for me, the blockchain 101, and of course, reinforcing how important community is when it comes to not only to Web3, but I think for every area that we're working on, whenever we're, you know regardless whether we're students or professionals here. So thank you, it has been an eye opener. So I'm gonna give you some time to probably get a sip of water, because it has been a long discussion. So unfortunately, Ree cannot open her camera because she's actually not feeling well. So we have to really extend our gratitude for her not canceling the session despite of not feeling well. So thank you, Ree, for that. And we are now opening questions to our two topics: community building and blockchain 101. So it has been a very good discussion highlighting the points on the challenges when it comes to really building communities, not just inside Web3 or through Web or in Web3, but I think, as I mentioned, generally speaking. And because that's what we want to do in here at As Like Speech Academy. Okay, I've seen some of the people who are attending here are actually alumni of our program. So hello and welcome back to our sessions. And when it comes to blockchain, I think my key takeaway before we entertain or before we check for some questions is that I think the applications of blockchain, I don't know if you've heard in the news, is now, or even before this issues that we're having here in the Philippines emerge, there were some friends of mine, or acquaintances of mine, who's been applying blockchain into the government transactions or some LGUs for transparency, for for, I would say, making the transactions just like what we have shared to us, the characteristics, transparency, and all of those things with when it comes to government transactions. And I believe that more and more LGUs are actually doing that, and I think it has been some sort of applied also into a national level. But there were several attempts in applying blockchain as a solution to some of the, I would say, pressing problems here in our country. There has been also some use cases in applying it to healthcare, so that you know experts could better use the data. Because for example, if you, let's say, you're what you call this, a patient for a certain hospital, of course, by virtue of the Data Privacy Act, you cannot access the data. By, for example, you went to another hospital, so everything would be stored in that previous hospital, all your data. So I don't know if you can actually request. So the thing is that you'll have to go from scratch. I mean, you can say to your doctor that your let's say the new doctor in the new hospital that, yeah, I have this history, etc., etc., but not exactly getting all, it's like kind of going from scratch. So what I'm trying to say here is that there has been some use cases in a certain LGU that hospitals there actually agreed to apply blockchain, so that doctors in different hospitals can actually access. I'm not quite sure how they did that, but that is now actually happening. So yeah, and hopefully we could see it in scale. Anyways, so much of me again. Thank you, Ree. I hope you were able to drink some water because we might be answering some questions. So if you have questions, so please feel free to send them in. If you're quite hesitant, to drop them um in our general chat channel here, you can simply send it to me via direct message or personal message, and I'll try to ask you the question. Okay. So if okay, I'm seeing some questions here. Of course, I mean questions, because we do have a lot. I'll try to, of course, run through the first question. Okay, so let's go with the first question coming from this lifelong learner here. So the question goes like, if someone has never used or experienced blockchain environment before, what is the minimum or basic ideas that they need to understand to participate in a Web3 community? Wow.
Hi, thank you for that a very insightful question. For someone that doesn't have an idea of Web3 blockchain and they definitely wanted to dive with the Web3 communities, definitely it just will be the same like what we have with the Web2 communities, but the difference will be the technical part, such as the different jargons that we have in the industry. But good thing is that for the Web3 communities that we have, we're very very welcoming on explaining things for these newcomers. We have a lot of programs, even tutorials for everyone that wanted to learn about the industry. And we're very, very easy to tap in. Like, Atri, what is this? What is that? Like, everyone is, very welcome to explain to everyone or to the newcomers regarding about what is happening within the industry or the community that you've been joining to. So, hindi naman mahirap mag-hop in with those Web3 communities. Very sila, open sila on explaining, and we wanted to, have more individuals to join us since very konti pa kami sa space for the Web3 space. Yun lang naman for me. Siguro basic ideas lang is hindi mo kailangan na hindi mo kailangan na maraming alam about the space for you to join those communities, kasi kami na mismo magtuturo sa inyo guys kung ano meron sa space, sa blockchain, sa Web3. Mostly what is happening with the Web3 Philippines right now. So yun lang naman for me.
Yeah, thank you, Ree, for that answer. Hope we were able to answer your question to the sender of the question. You can actually you can react directly here, so that we know also whether you have received the response. So basically we do have a group called Web3 Philippines or Web3 Pilipinas, tama ba? Or
Wala po, Sir Felix. Actually, iba-iba
okay.
siya. Yes po.
Oh. Okay. So probably you could also share whether if they wanted to join like one community that or some of your the communities that you're in already. Or better yet, if you can connect with Re, you can find Re, just type resell
Yeah, Ursulam Saura in Facebook
Saure
po.
in
In
Facebook and
Facebook.
even in LinkedIn. Yeah, you can
Yes po.
connect with her. Okay. We have another phone in question. From actually the sender has three questions. So if blockchain replaces central authorities, who actually enforces the rules when something goes wrong? These are very good questions, I would say.
Yes po, I agree with you, Sir Felix. For this one, no, since walang nagsa-centralize for the Web3, definitely for that, it's everyone that is part of that network and the system itself. So, ganun kasi nagra-run yung blockchain. So, sino yung magsa-centralize for that specific scenario or situation? It's definitely those individuals that is part of that network and the system itself. Kasi a good example of it will be, kunwari, for Bitcoin, it has its mechanism, which is the Satoshi plus consensus, plus those individuals, which is part of that network itself, or the one who is holding Bitcoin as well. So, ganun nagra-run through yung blockchain. So, it doesn't just hold within the system, it also prioritize those individuals which is part of that network, or yung tinatawag na part of the voter side of that descent of that Web3 or blockchain. So, ganun. Ganun siya nag-run for the blockchain or Web3 process. It's the
Wow.
system plus the people.
So basically, that's why it's called decentralization since wala yung central authorities. But when it comes to just like what our lifelong learner here just asked, the risk actually when it fails, it's actually not it's not going back to one person or one entity because yun nga, we decentralize. So even that parang you take part. If you're part of the system, you take part of that
Yes
parang
po.
failure or mistake or error, something like that. Interesting. I guess this is why, most of people, Web2 people, as you have mentioned, or I'm not quite sure if it's a proper term, or maybe people who, wag na lang yan, or people who are not quite familiar with blockchain technology is quite hesitant or skeptical kasi nga parang medyo mahirap siyang intindihan if hindi mo siya intindihan or wala kang proper education about it. But this has been very helpful, I would say. So I hope we were able to answer your second question. And the last question would be, which skills are most in demand for someone starting in a career in Web3 communities?
With that, maybe the first thing that is good is to join communities, since the communities really provides the roadmap of the Web3 space, not just in the Philippines but globally. Then after joining that community, I think it's good to find mentors within those communities that will help you on what niche or role are you into. Just like me, like I'm into community building, I do contents as well, and then I also do hosting in the different platforms such as Discord and Telegram. So before I dive into this niche, nag-explore talaga ako within the community. Ano meron sa community, sa Web3 communities I've joined in. So I think it's me taking initiative to join that community, then explore. So while you explore, you learn into this stuff, and then while you learn, I think it's good to practice it out, or you handle things onto yourself. Like, what do you want it to dive first? Do you want it to dive into the community building part, which is part, or you would like to dive with the NFTs, or you're into arts? So we have those stuffs. We also have part of the DeFi part. If you're into a very, you wanted to earn passive income already within the space, there's a DeFi categories, or are you a Web 2 gamer that wanted to be a Web 3 gamer as well? So we have the gaming category. So there's a lot of niche that you can explore within the space. You just have to join the right community and tap the right person for you to be able to really identify yourself, what is your role or what will be your niche within the space. Kasi very welcoming naman yung community members of the space, lalo na sa Philippines. And kung sino yung nasa community na ganito, nandun na sa pangalawang community. So, it's very just a small space for you guys. So, yun lang naman for me. Community and then explore, find mentors. Definitely, you're gonna learn how to juggle yourself on what niche or role you wanted to expand more. And good thing is, for the blockchain, hindi mo naman siya kailangan i-full-time, kahit i-part-time mo lang siya. So, yun naman.
And I guess the key message is to really start joining the communities because just like any other emerging technology, probably like AI or yung mga Industry 4.0 before, and any other thought or area or body of knowledge, it's really the community that would help you out figure things out, no? Yeah, and so thank you for those insights. And I believe we don't have much of questions right now. So I guess the encouragement for this session, as I will have to ask Ree for the parting message for this particular session, is that Ree has been one of the people that I know that's really heavy on community building in this particular space. So please make sure, if you're really interested, to connect with her in via her social media accounts or handles, both in Facebook and in LinkedIn. So it's just her name, Rizal Saure. Okay. Re, any last couple of lines to our audience, to our learners?
Siguro for me, don't hesitate to tap me or anyone in the space that you know. And we're very welcoming. Web3 is, you don't have to be scared to know what is Web3 or blockchain, no? Because we have a lot of materials already within those communities. Even just us individuals, no, we can already help you guys. And we'll be here to help you on finding, not just finding or learning about Web3, but finding the right opportunities for you as well. So that's what we're building in the Web3 space for Philippines. Not just adopting Web3, but finding opportunities, careers for you guys, for you to be able to explore more of the space. Don't forget to connect with me on my socials as well. And yun lang naman for me, Sir Felix. And again, thank you for everyone who have tuned in with this session. If you have questions, you can just DM me as well. Or if you wanted to be part of the communities I've been part with, definitely we're open for everyone also. Yun lang naman po for me.
All right. Again, that was Resell Saure or Re in Web3. Yan. So thank you again, Re, for accepting my invite, no? Because I really believe that this will be a very insightful session, especially for everyone that's really interested in the topic. So thank you again. And hope to see you soon. Again, that was, oh, sorry, I haven't flashed the Q&A. Sorry. But thank you again to Ree, and thank you also to our partners, iExcel, CA Review Center, Startup Podcast, PH2OS, Capian with Sir Lex. And just for what it's worth, we are actually inviting brands, businesses, entrepreneurs, organizations who would want to support Alpha TV starting January. We are actually launching a support or sponsorship package so that we can make this free platform more sustainable. So if you're interested, please send us a message, or send me a personal message on my socials at Felix Concepcion Veroya, both in Facebook and on LinkedIn. So just a quick promotion, we are, of course, aside from this, we are also providing courses and certifications, individual. Well, some of which are our Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt program, our project management, our certified data analyst, our Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, our Kaizen professional, our certified Gen AI professional, our Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. And there's new programs that are coming in by next year, like Agile Scrum, Data Analytics. Oh, this is not a new one. Data Analytics Associate, Certified Lean Professional, the Gen AI one that I've mentioned, Certified Machine Learning, Certified Design Sprint, certified project manager, certified sustainability professional. So those are accredited by international accrediting bodies, by the way. And if you can't attend our live online sessions, don't worry. We have our self-paced courses. Most of the ones that I mentioned in the previous slides are actually do have their equivalent self-paced courses. So just check it on our website, aslexpage.com/courses and aslexpage.com/events. What else? So yeah, you can visit the course there. And we are still incentivizing people who are completing the courses through what we call alpha coins. And we're gonna strengthen the implementation of which next year. So hopefully you can go to our aslexpage.com/courses to check any from the 200 plus free learning resources from innovation, sustainability, analytics, and continuous improvement. So we are actively looking for partners and ambassadors. Definitely, we are open to building the community of lifelong learners here in the Philippines further. And if you've taken at least one course, you are invited to join our ASLEX Speech Academy Alumni Network that we are maintaining here at Facebook. So, for you to get your e-cert, simply scan the QR code and make sure that you've completed and submitted your evaluation. So, we've encountered some errors in the Google form in the um previous episode. So don't panic, just try it again or maybe refresh it. Worst comes to worst, just send us a message on our official Facebook page at Aztecs Page Academy. So I'm gonna leave this in a couple of seconds. Take a screenshot so that you can go back to this. The evaluation form link would be open for the next probably 30 minutes or so. Okay, so again, thank you everyone for being with us in our December 19 Alpha TV episode with none other than our community builder in Web3 and the one who introduced us the concept of blockchain 101, none other than Rizal Saure or Ri. Maraming salamat again and maraming salamat everyone. I think this will be our year-ender episode. So let's see each other again next year, 2026. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Sir Felix, for the invite. And thank you, everyone. See you on the next year for the Alpha TV.
Thank you, Ri.
Thank you
Thank you,
po.
everyone.